Known for its brutal tactics and widespread influence, 1000s-13 has become one of the most feared criminal organizations in the world. With roots tracing back to Los Angeles in the 1980s, this transnational gang now operates across multiple continents, leaving a trail of violence and fear in its wake. But behind the tattoos, the notoriety, and the headlines lies a complex story of migration, survival, and systemic failure. Origins of MS-13, a legacy of war and displacement. The origins of MS-13 are deeply intertwined with the political turmoil and violence that plagued Central America during the late 20th century, the 1980s. El Salvador was embroiled in a brutal civil war between the US-backed government and leftist guerrilla groups. This conflict displaced hundreds of thousands of Salvadorans, many of whom fled to the United States seeking refuge. Upon arriving in Los Angeles, these refugees faced immense challenges. They encountered poverty, discrimination, and hostility from established gangs such as the Bloods and Crips to protect themselves and preserve their cultural identity. Salvadoran immigrants began forming small, informal groups. These groups eventually coalesced into what would become Mara Salvatrucha. Initially, MS-13 was not a criminal enterprise, but rather a social network, a way for Salvadoran youth to connect, share experiences, and defend themselves against rival gangs. However, as tensions with other gangs escalated, MS-13 adopted increasingly violent tactics. By the early 1990s, the gang had transformed into a highly organized criminal organization, engaging in drug trafficking, extortion, human smuggling, and murder. Structure and symbols. A decentralized network, MS-13 operates through a decentralized structure, with local cliques functioning semi-independently while adhering to shared codes and traditions. Each clique is led by a palabrero, who serves as the group's leader and enforces discipline among members. Despite this decentralization, all cliques remain loyal to the overarching ideology of Mara Salvatrucha. Members of MS-13 are easily identified by their distinctive tattoos, often covering their faces, arms, and torsos. These tattoos typically include symbols like MS-13 or Mara Salvatrucha. The number 13 corresponds to the letter M in the alphabet and reflects an alliance with the Mexican Mafia, which controls much of the prison system in California. Tattoos serve as both a badge of loyalty and a permanent mark of membership, making it nearly impossible for members to leave the gang without facing severe consequences. Initiation into MS-13 is notoriously violent. Prospective members must either endure a brutal beating for 13 seconds or commit a violent act to prove their loyalty. Once initiated, members are bound by a strict code of conduct that emphasizes loyalty, secrecy, and vengeance against rivals. Breaking these rules often results in death, ensuring that members remain tightly controlled. Expansion across borders. From Los Angeles to the world in the 1990s, U.S. immigration policies played a pivotal role in spreading MS-13 beyond American borders. As part of efforts to combat gang violence, the U.S. government implemented aggressive deportation policies, sending undocumented gang members back to their home countries. Many of these deportees were unfamiliar with life in Central America and brought with them the gang culture they had developed in Los Angeles. In El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, countries already struggling with poverty, corruption, and weak institutions, MS-13 found fertile ground to expand. Gang members recruited disenfranchised youth, offering them a sense of belonging and protection in exchange for loyalty. Within a few years, MS-13 had established a stronghold in Central America, where it began to exert control over entire neighborhoods and communities. Today, MS-13 operates in at least 46 U.S.